In our Produce Like series, we like to cover the most influential music producers out there. And in the modern era, Metro Boomin is one of the most essential hip hop producers to know about. I mean, he's produced for the likes of Drake, 21 Savage, Post Malone, Future. I mean, literally you name it, like countless others. But he also has kind of a unique production style in the sense that it offers some insight into the way that production and mixing is really just two sides of the same coin. So we're gonna take a look at some of his particular stylistic elements and then how we can incorporate them into our own production. Let's do it. So when we're taking a look at producers, one of the things that I like to pay attention to first is what sort of tempos we're talking about. But actually Metro Boomin is super versatile in that regard. I'm gonna start with a tempo of about 130 just because that gives us a really nice and slow feel for a nice smooth sort of dark beat. So the first thing I want to do is come up with kind of a dark melody. And one of the things that he does is he'll have like a super spacey, dark, sort of minor sounding melody. Something that hangs in the background, but it gives a lot of space for the vocals to be bright and up front. One of the things that I've been doing a lot is taking just kind of a really basic, almost sawtooth sound, and then you're basically filtering it way down and making sure, you know, the release is long. So I've got a sound like this. It's just called soft pad in Serum, and it sort of sounds like this with the filter opened all the way. It's like this. So obviously that's much too bright for what we're trying to do here. So I'm gonna bring the frequency like way down here. So we don't have anything too crazy going on with this synth here. It's literally just two different sort of sawtooth waves. It's filtered down at a 24 decibel per octave filter, and it's at about 277 hertz. And the envelope as well is super simple, right? It's just a short attack, and the decay and release are, you know, around a second. So I just wanted to make sure that when I press the key and release it, it's gonna sort of hang on to the note similar to how reverb works. So let's try to come up with a little dark melody here, and I'm gonna get the metronome going here. So let's see if we maybe need to tighten up this performance a little bit. I generally like to leave things as close to how I played them as possible. But in this case, I'm just gonna highlight all the notes with Command A and press Command Shift U and bring up the quantization dialog box here. I'm gonna just bring it down to maybe like 35% or something, real light. Now the next thing I want to tackle are the drums, which is, you know, it's such an important part of trap and hip hop in general. So what he likes to do is have them be bright and simple and hitting hard, right? Those are the three things that we want to do. Now, when I'm producing in a certain style, I like to have a lot of my materials out, similar to, you know, when you're cooking a meal and you get all the ingredients out, so it just makes it really easy to cook, right? So that's what we're doing, we're cooking up. So in line with that, I've selected some drum sounds that I think are gonna work well. For snares, he likes to use like a lot of clap snares like this. It's also nice to have another snare on deck too for like alt snares, I like to call them, where they're not on the 2 or 4, but in other places. So we're gonna play around with that and add another snare drum too. And especially one that sounds different than your main snare. I also have a couple of sort of trappy hat sounds here. And we've also got the very important open hat. Because I noticed that Metro Boomin loves to use open hats, especially kind of panned and on the offbeat too. So we're gonna incorporate all those elements and see if we can just make a little beat out of what we are working with here. Now you'll notice that I didn't bring up the kick sound, and it's actually because he likes to use 808s that almost have a kick in them already. They have kind of a thump to them. So we're gonna wait on the kick and we're just gonna make the other elements first. So these are these alt snares I'm talking about, right? So now let's find a way to make the hat more interesting, because right now it's just straight on the beat. So I'm gonna find some triplets to add in, because Metro Boomin likes to do that a lot. Don't forget about those rolls too. Not just the triplets, but the rolls like here. Now, if you're wearing headphones, you'll notice that I've panned the hat a little bit to the side, and that's one thing that Metro Boomin likes to do a lot is he'll have like the hat just off to the side a little bit to help separate it from the kick and the snare and the vocals and stuff. All right, and now we're gonna add in the open hat. And what I also noticed about his open hat is he'll have it on the other side to the closed hat. So he has his closed hat on one side, open hat on the other side. So I'm gonna pan it the opposite direction, and we're gonna add that in right now. When you look at trap music, there's lots of different like styles of 808s, but the one that I think represents Metro Boomin well is like a nice low, slow, smooth 808 that kind of just hangs there on the bottom end. It's not like one of those short ones that's just like, it's like, it just hangs there. The one that I picked out was this one here. This 808 has a little bit of a thump to it at the beginning, which I liked, but I also added in another, like, just like the beginning of a kick sound, right? So this is what the kick sound sounds like. And when you combine them together, so it just adds like just a small amount of oomph that I feel it needs because it's acting as the kick and the bass. So let's add in a little 808 pattern here. You hear how it kind of just hangs there in the background and it's smooth and you can feel the low end like the whole time. It's one of those kind of beats. So I kind of want to add in another layer of a melody on top, something higher and also spacey, but just something we can add that will make the vibe a little bit better and less repetitive. I'm starting with this very basic sound, right? It almost just sounds like an electric keyboard basically. And what I'm gonna do is send this to my special sauce reverb, right? Which is basically, it's a convolution reverb and it's from a cathedral and I just really like how it sounds because it's it's epic and it's long and it's lush. Let's try to add this texture on top here. Oh yeah, that's what we'll do. An important thing that Metro Boomin does and a lot of producers out there who make trap, they push the sounds way back to the background, and reverb is a really great way to do that because it differentiates, you know, the close direct sound from the spacey sound, right? I'm thinking that could be a cool little texture for the intro. Like if we just took out the drums and the 808, we copied this whole section, you know, it could start like this. And then maybe there's a couple of textures we could add in this section here because I don't want it to be too repetitive. So let's see if we can find some interesting textures to add. I'm hearing like some sort of a vocal like chant kind of thing. So I'm gonna start seeing my library what I've got here. Let's see if we can make this sound cool. Ooh. And then now I'm just gonna add some reverb too, space it out a little bit. Ooh. Oh man, I really like what that adds. Very haunting, right? Very haunting. And also check out this guitarscape texture that I found too. It's kind of eerie as well, but I think it could be a good thing to sort of fade into the beat to make it drop a little bit harder from the intro. So something like this. then it's always nice to have a little section afterward too, where you cut out like the 808 and you just have the hats and snare and melody going. So it'd be like this. One important element that you need to think about too when you are programming drums in this style, especially like in the style of Metro Boomin, is make sure that you're saturating your drums, because a lot of these guys are using FL Studio, and a lot of them love to do like a little bit of soft clipping on the master or like the drum bus or whatever. So I love to add in some serious saturation. So let's take a listen to what the drums sound like with and without. The other thing that I'm adding too is just a very subtle boost at around 5K. It's a shelf though, so it's gonna just be a kind of an airlift on the whole drums bus to make it a little bit brighter, right? So something like this. Real crispy sounding, right? Extra crispy. So let's take a listen to what we've got here as far as the beat and see how everything is sounding. Now, obviously, this doesn't like fully encapsulate Metro Boomin as a musician or a producer, which is a good thing, right? I mean, he's more versatile than just this, but it does give that like really classic Metro Boomin sound that a lot of people associate him with. So I hope this was helpful and you can take some of these ideas and plug them into your own beats and have some fun. Happy music making, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care. Peace.